Hello and welcome to Sandbox and Chill, your interview podcast that delves into all things tabletop RPG. Today we're delighted to speak with Jes, the human, about Twitch, charity streams, and creating your own space in tabletop RPGs. So kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now where's that play button?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm Jes. You can find me on most places on the internet at Jes the Human. That's Jes with one S. Specifically, I'm most active on Twitch and Twitter. If you check out my pinned tweet on Twitter, you can find all of the projects that I'm working on.
So what we were talking about a little bit was the stream you hosted and we're on, and we were talking about the vampire game and the not kerfuffle. I don't know what the technical glitch that had happened.
Yes, stream element or not? It wasn't even stream elements. It was my stream deck. I have different little silly things for my personal streams that I have now realized that I just need to make a completely different profile when I do TTRPG streams, so I don't have "Who's that Pokemon?" come on in the middle of a TTRPG stream. Thankfully, it was a very goofy game, and everyone had a good kick out of it.
Yeah.
But I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that was a mistake, but I'm like, I have definitely also learned from mistakes, like have 2 to 3 different versions of things recording at one time, and make sure that you're hardwired into your internet and not using Wi-Fi.
Oh my gosh. And just learn the capabilities of what your computer can do. Last year in July, I was running a Rolling for Reproductive Rights charity weekend. And my first stream of the weekend, I was like, I'm going to stream this and I'm going to try recording this at the same time. Nope, crashed my computer.
Yeah. Oh, once you said stream and record, I'm like, I know where this is going. Your computer will overheat and nothing will want to work.
Yep. Thankfully, it worked out. Like, I was able to quickly get back in, but oh my God, that was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because it was a bunch of people that I hadn't worked with before and like a bunch of new eyes on my stream. And like, I wasn't doing monthly TTRPG charity streams. Like, that was my big first like thing that I did. So that was stressful.
What was it that made you want to start doing charity streams?
So I work in the nonprofit sector, so I already have always wanted to be involved in like charities and nonprofits and things like that. But I love streaming and I love helping people. And I wasn't always getting invited to the games that I wanted to be in, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do my own thing. I thought like TTRP gifts and like Scry Society, they were doing a bunch of charity work, and I was like, if they can do it, like I can learn how to do this.
Yeah.
My first one did not go well. I mean, it did. It went fine. But like looking back at that and like seeing how far I've come with like just like my promos, how much money I've raised, like the actual like quality of the stream, like it's kind of like, oh my God, baby did it.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with how you can put it together, because when I've tried to gather people from the community, I get a lot of yes, and then a day before the show, like, actually, I've double booked something. So, like, how do you vet people, or how often does that happen?
It happens often. And it's just like, I'm a very much like, hey, shit happens. Like, we all have real lives outside of our little, like, boxes. So I appreciate you telling me that you can't make it instead of just not showing up. So definitely having like a list of people that I know I can count on, like if things go south, and I can just ask them to jump in a game, or just being flexible and saying, okay, we're gonna be down a player. Obviously, like the more people that you have on screen, the more connections can be made, and like the more networking is going to be happening, so more eyes can potentially come in. But shit happens, and sometimes you just have to play down a player.
How do you find people when you're trying to find those charity streams?
That is an amazing question. So like there's the like cute little like retweet if you would be my DM, or
Mm-hmm.
like if you want to play in a game with me, or like
Yeah.
comment, you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
memes on Twitter. So I did one of those before I decided to start doing my like monthlies. I was like floating the idea, and I had a lot of people that were interested. I was like, oh shit. So I'm kind of just like going through that, and also seeing people in the community that I've wanted to play with for a while, and just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a shoot my shot, sometimes it's like a hey, I noticed you from across the Twitterverse and
Right.
I
Yeah.
like your vibe. Do you want to play in a game with me? So just like watching other people's content and knowing people that I'd like to play with, because on my regular monthly TTRPG charity streams, like
Mm-hmm.
I play in that game as well. I try to do like one big charity weekend a year, but I only play in one game, so then I'm still getting to like put other people up and like still network with them and like see the amazingness that they bring to screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really long roundabout way of getting to
No.
the answer, but that's that.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense because like there are definitely people. As I start this journey of interviewing, I have plenty of people that are like, "Oh, check out my podcast." It's like you don't have anything up yet. I would love to. Once you do, remind me because there's a couple other people that would love me to do it too, or to interview as well. So it's just I'm always curious how, because I see you networking a lot and pulling people into your streams that I'm, as we were talking beforehand, like you get a lot of people that say yes, I totally want to do it, and then they back out. So it's just interesting to know how you vet people or see it. I definitely think that on Twitter, the social media platform of choice, having that back and forth for a while before the invitation to the stream is definitely key. And honestly, kind of like Twitter stalking, Twitter stalking them a little bit.
A little, but that's okay. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to invite someone onto my stream if I think that they're not going to be like a cool, chill person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm bisexual,
Yeah.
non-binary, you know, femme presenting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want someone to come to my stream that like isn't down with that, you know?
Yeah.
Like every session zero, I'm like, when we're talking about like lines and veils, I'm like, just as a blanket, here are all the things that are just like unacceptable to be on stream. And obviously it's
Right.
racism and homophobia and transphobia and sexism. And it's just like, I don't think that y'all are shitty people. That's why
Right.
I've invited you here. But I would kick myself in the ass, like, if somebody turned out to like do one of those things, you know?
Right. Yeah. Just because that is, or I haven't seen it recently, but it used to be a point of contention in the Twitter D&D space of why have a session zero and these veils and it's like you don't know anyone. Like we definitely at least be on the same page, because it can be, maybe it's not always the same thing that you disagree on, but sometimes there's that breaking point where it's like, yeah, maybe we didn't vote for the same person, but we can still play a game because
Exactly.
we're cool about everything else.
And people that like don't want to discuss like safety just aren't people that I want to play with.
Yeah, that's why I was so happy when you like sent that out when I played, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. And I think you had used mine as an example to everyone, because I wrote like a detailed like, well, I'm putting some implicit trust in that you as the DM have done your homework before doing this.
Absolutely. No, I don't. It's like safety and making sure that people feel safe and like have fun on stream. Like that's number one. Like obviously I want to raise money for the charity that we're raising money for,
Yeah.
but like that's number two. Viewers are number three. Like
Right.
that's we're here, we're connected, we're having a game, and I want y'all to feel like safe and welcome and wanted, and that's that. So very important.
Right. Because yeah, I oh man, there's a lot of good things to go into, because the other aspect of it is like, yeah, I also use like he they pronouns and bi as well, but you know, I just don't share it a lot online. But I don't get a lot of, I was actually talking to my partner about this, that I find that I police myself a lot on Twitter and social media. But like, how often are you finding yourself like policing the things you say, or having other people out of the woodwork just think that they can share with you their their viewpoints?
A lot.
Yeah.
I just, in real life and online, I guess I have a face that just says, "Tell me your opinions." And I
Yeah.
think that I have a very good resting bitch face, so I don't know why I get this.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm just like, why are you telling me this? Like,
Hmm.
this is not a good take. This is something that you go and you work through in therapy.
Right.
And like a lot of the people that are telling me awful things that they like have opinions about
Hmm.
obviously aren't necessarily the people that are going to go to therapy, but like those are the ones that truly need it most.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you just cut ties with shitty
Yeah.
people. Like you draw the line and say that's who that is not something I agree with. That is not something that I can support. Have a great life.
Right.
See you later. That's
Yeah.
what the block button's for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Block, mute, yeah, report as spam if they do it a lot. I just bring it up because you network a lot more, I think, than I do, or at least it's a little bit more noticeable of networking. So there's that kind of flip side, I would almost say, of networking, where it's like, oh, I'm trying to reach out to someone. Oh, I should not have reached out to that person because now they're going to tell me all their things.
And I mean, thankfully, I have not had a bad judgment call yet on someone, but
Hmm.
like if someone, I don't care if it is a couple minutes before stream, we'll
Hmm.
just start late if they something that is completely out of pocket. Like again, going back to safety, like not only for myself, but like for the other people
Hmm.
on stream and then even for the viewers. Like
Hmm.
if they're like avidly not sharing my same values, like I
Yeah.
don't want to give them my time, so
Right.
like I'll pause something to be like, you're gone. Like I have the power to kick somebody out of my Zoom room
Hmm.
and block them, and we'll just move on when we are ready to go, or
Hmm.
delay the game, because I mean depending on what someone has said, like we might need time to like take time to be like, who I am now finally okay.
Hmm.
And I can move forward with my day. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Safety is key.
Yeah. Because, yeah, you're in a lot of the role play sessions, you are sharing or being a character that maybe is more vulnerable, and it is definitely key because I think the thing I think about also is you'd have your charity streams, your live streams, or your own like gaming streams, and then you also have like podcasts that you've been on. How is how do you find the charity streams differing from like maybe podcasting, D, uh, tabletop play?
So I have only been on like the Fangang
Right.
podcast, which is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast. And I mean we're in our third season.
Hmm.
But it's different because we can stop and say, you know what? Not that we've said like weird things that need to be edited
Hmm.
out, but like if I say like, oh shit, you know what, that goes against something that like Jay would do. Jay's my character.
Right. Yeah.
We can stop and say, can we just like rewind that? And I mean, technically you can do that on stream too. It's just a little bit more crisp.
Yeah.
When you can just completely cut out a segment in audio. Um so it's also nice. I'm a very goofy person. I love
Yes.
playing silly little characters. But on the podcast, while I still play a silly little character, she also has a lot of vulnerable moments and a
Hmm.
lot of moments where, her connections to her clan and just other people are like deeply explored. And you don't necessarily get that in a 2 to 3 hour TTRPG charity stream.
Yeah.
And so I do like how you're able to like really show character development and like go through arcs and just go through a really incredible journey that's longer than 3 hours,
Yeah.
when you are on a podcast. But also I love being able to play with so many different people, and explore so many different characters and like bring back characters that I've played once. Like I've hosted 2 Monster of the Week
Hmm.
charity streams this year, and I have played the same character in both of them just at different points in their life,
Yeah.
which was like really fun and cool, and it was with a different group, and it was just a really fun dynamic to be able to like continue that character story. So again, really roundabout way of getting there, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, it sounds like, being a little bit more on the stream and then on your podcast has that flexibility to kind of
Absolutely.
redo things.
Yeah, when the sun comes over the ridge just right, it's pretty wicked. Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. Sorry about that. Looks like there was an abrupt change in topic while Gravity was checking their notes. Yeah. So they asked me to say a few words. So, few words. All right. That's it.
No, non sequitur. I never found out. I was doing a lot of research. What's up with hot dogs?
Okay. Okay, so my cat's name is Princess Hot Dog. Her name was Princess when we saw her at the shelter. My partner's screen name is Pooh Name Brandon from the time that Jake the dog gets Pooh Brain in Adventure Time. I'm just the human, like Finn the human. So we're like, obviously we have to keep her name in the family, so we made it Princess Hot Dog. When I started streaming, I guess that just like became my like little brand, and now it's gone more from like focusing on my cat, and now it's just like people associate hot dogs with me, which is like fun but also weird because I'm a vegan, but like I have a hot dog costume and like
I mean, there's great vegan hot dogs out there.
there are I don't eat a lot of them, so that's what's up with the hot dogs.
Okay. Because that reminds me, the things that I always go to when someone's like, describe Jess. I'm like, okay, hot dogs, puns, charity streams. We can always work in puns whenever you're comfortable with those.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I think that
I
was
will-
yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Jinx. I will say I just came off of a batch weekend, so like my brain is like kaput.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna try now that we want to be punny.
Yeah. Because the thing that reminded me of this, and I actually learned about this when you were on roleplay chat, was you have punny-based murder mysteries.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. My favorite is Murder in Mossbank, which was the second adventure that I wrote on DM's Guild and is, I want to say, a platinum bestseller, which is kind of cool. And it's just it's got quite a few puns. It has a follow-up adventure that has some more puns. But then I have Murder Most Fowl, which I co-wrote, which is 100% bird puns. With people like Penguin Stefani and oh god, now I can't even think of them. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, the amount of puns that we put into that. I've had people say, I'm gonna look at this, and then they read some of it and they're like, Jess, I don't know if I can physically do this. This is kind of hard for me. And I'm like, yeah, we went all out with that one.
Yeah, I know I downloaded one of them, and you had a song that was a poultry-based.
Black Birdie.
Yeah.
Whoa, Black Birdie.
Yeah. Cluck-a-luck, whoa, black buddy,
Yeah.
cluck-a-luck. Yeah. I was trying to do that. I was like, oh, that would be a fun intro. Like, I need to practice.
That's okay. I don't blame you.
Yeah. But how often do you DM on stream?
I stopped DMing in early 2020, which was right after I started DMing. It stresses me out. I don't enjoy it, and I especially don't enjoy it with people that I'm like not super close with. Like I've DM'd for my partner. I've DM'd with some of my rugby teammates that like I started playing D&D with, and like we all learned it together, so like it was okay if you messed up or if you like didn't know exactly what was happening. I lied. That was the last time I DM'd in person. I DM'd one time over Zoom, and someone told me that I did okay, but there was a lot that I could have done better. and I stopped. And I had like let the group know that I really didn't want to, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's gonna be fine, Jess. Like you wrote the adventure."
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I was like, "Nope, I am done." I didn't. That wasn't even constructive criticism. That was just criticism.
Yeah.
So I stopped after that. But I don't think that you necessarily have to be a DM or a GM to like write a game or to like write an adventure, because you can just hand it off to someone else
Yeah.
and have them playtest it. And honestly, I mean, playtesting should always happen, because if my brain is the only thing that can make like the words on paper work,
Right.
then like that's not a good supplement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, is just to know how much you DM versus writing, because I have seen you've written multiple modules of your murder mysteries, which I like, because I was reading them, and that I like that they're detailed enough that it gives the DM room to improvise, because I know that I struggle having too much information. When I hand it off to somebody, I'm like, oh, example is I'm working with a friend to do a Star Wars thing, and we talked about having shipping crates nearby, and I realized that none of the Star Wars cargo crates have handles on them. I'm like, that's just a design flaw. So how do they pick these things up? And then going into a rabbit hole of like, is it like, do they float? Do they fly?
Sometimes you just you present a problem, and then you just have to be like, okay, it's for someone else to figure out. I am working on my Nick Cage TTRPG.
Yes.
And one of the things is like, so it's your group of Nick Cages are hired to find the Nick Cage who's been imprisoned in the cinematic universe of Nick Cage films, and you have to find him, you have to determine what movies he's from, and you have to send his ass back.
Right.
And like something that I really struggled with was, how do they send him back? Like, do I need to like say this is exactly how, or do I leave that up to like the GM or the players to like determine? It's like, I struggle, and I go back and forth, because I'm like, on one hand, people might really struggle and be like, well, how do we do it? But on the other hand, you're leaving up so much creativity for them to just be so fucking goofy and like make up send his axe back gun, or make up a teleporter, or say a chant and he like arrives there. Like there's so many different ways that they can, think outside that box of me just saying, okay, this is how you send him back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a fan. It's not a Nick Cage movie, but I think I would steal it as a DM, which is Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he lives in an action movie, but a kid pulls him out of the action movie. So that would be how you put him back in, is you have to find that movie played in a theater and shove Nick Cage right back into it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a campy movie because everything in the Arnold Schwarzenegger universe is switched out with Sylvester Stallone. So Sly is now the Terminator in Lethal Weapon and all these other things, and they make a joke about it.
That's funny. I'm gonna have to actually have you remind me about this movie at the end.
Yeah.
So I can watch it, because it sounds goofy as hell.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's that I'm like, oh man, that's how I would do it. Because I think that's the thing that I struggle with, and when I help or read other people's work too, is okay, all of page 4 to 7 doesn't need to be in there. It's exposition, it's details that like maybe you put it as an appendix would be better, but Absolutely. Just from a reading perspective, like I lost the story through here.
You just need the bare bones, unfortunately. Like if you feel really passionate about the way that the adventure should go, like that could be a short story instead. Or you could do both. You could write the short story and know exactly how you want it to go, and then be like, okay, these are the details that I don't need. This can be a supplement that I can also sell. It's hard knowing what to include and what not to include. And I know that a lot of folks like to overshare. But definitely having other people like look at your work and having an editor to like help you, parse it down, definitely recommend.
Yeah. That is something I had to work on, is find a good editor to be like, okay, can you read this for me? And they have to have that very specific skill of not just like, yeah, copy editing, but tabletop RPG editing too, of like, okay, this isn't needed. The format here is a little weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, my latest venture has been like doing one-page TTRPGs, and like
Yeah.
that is such a small amount of space that you get to work with. And I, on the Roll D5 channel, they did its like stream debut, and
Yeah.
I was on the stream, but I was not the GM slash the top dog, is what the GM in that game is
Right.
called.
Yeah.
And I told Andrew, who was the GM, I was like, if you have a question about the game, don't ask me it, because you're the GM. Like, you're making up the rules.
Right.
I'm not going to be that person that goes, well, actually, this is what it's supposed to be like. Like, first of all, that's gross. But second of all, like, you are literally in control of this entire game. So what you say goes. Just like in D&D or any other game.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one doing all of the hard work. So, like, your last ruling is final.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely a struggle for some GMs, of just like, well, I want to be authentic to the source material, but at the same point, yeah, let's get crazy and goblins come in and everyone has just a bacchanal instead. Like, we're gonna,
Absolutely.
yeah, because with streaming and networking, especially in the tabletop space, how I've noticed, I don't know if how intentional you are about it, but I feel it's pretty intentional, like doing follow-ups, because I see you like either tweet follow-ups after the stream or check in to build those relationships. How important is it to really do like that follow-up after the stream?
It's pretty important. So sometimes if I have time, like after the night of the stream or at least the next day, I'll be like, hey, y'all, we raised this amount of money. Thank you so much. If I was able to like find a fun clip, I'll post that from the evening and say, hey, you know what? Our Tiltify is still open. You can still support us. Because I always try to find donation incentives for when folks donate.
Right.
And I have people that donate after the fact. Like, just because you don't have money on the Monday or the Wednesday that we stream doesn't mean by Friday payday you can't,
Right.
toss some coins to a nice charity. So that's like just for viewers and people who might be interested in donating. But I try to get at least within a week at the most the VOD up on YouTube. Because I know a lot of people that play TTRPGs like to keep a list of like all of their appearances so they
Right.
can put it on like their website, like this is where you might have seen me.
Right.
And as a person that like wanted that so badly when I was like starting to like get put into like one shots and shit, and it didn't happen all the time. Like when I was starting, I made that like a priority to get that out to people, not only so people that missed the stream might be able to watch it, but also the people that played in it so they can show that if they need it for whatever, or if
Right.
they just want to rewatch it and like relive the memories.
Yeah,
So I think it's very important.
I thought so too. I thought, especially when doing the research, and something I still need to build a little bit, but it was so helpful to see like your list of Linktree is like using whatever Linktree, or creating a custom web page or something that just lists what you're doing, what you've been in, because I think that also helps if you are looking to be like a voice actor or tabletop performer of some kind. Having that pool of resources is
Absolutely.
super key. So I think that's a good point that you've done, that I think other people should do too.
Absolutely. I agree. And I mean, like, I love looking at other people for like examples of like, okay, this person is doing it successfully. They're well, they are thriving in this environment. Obviously, I don't want to like copy what they're doing, but like, this is what they're showcasing, like as a potential, hey, I can be an AP producer, or I can be on your show or your podcast,
Yeah.
or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that is very good stuff to include on my little card.
Right.
So like just taking like little bits and pieces that I've seen other people like successfully put out there,
Yeah.
and like emulating that, but in my own way, I think has really worked. Or at least I hope it's worked. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
Knows.
because it might be a little bit on the spot, but like, what is something that you gleamed from someone else, but you made it like your own? So not necessarily exactly the way that they did it, but you're like, oh, that's a great idea, and this is how I did it.
To go off of what we were literally just talking about, like having the TTRPG, like where you can watch me or listen to me, like I did not come up with that on my own. I saw that on Chrissy in Colors. She has her little link tree, and I was like, oh shit, I like that. But I did it on a card instead, and have that as my little website for TTRPG stuff. I've seen people do like media kits. I have a really shitty media kit on my Twitch that I need to update. But now Twitch, technically it's not Twitch, but OBS updated and took a bunch of my stuff away, and then my Stream Deck updated and took a bunch of my stuff away, and I just have so much stuff that I need to go in and edit, and I'm like, this is like a weekend job. So on my Twitch, I have a little media kit, but I'd like to have one that could be in like my pinned tweet, that has, a picture of me and some of my stats and things I've been on and brands I've worked on. One day I will do that, but today is not that day.
Hey everyone, we're gonna take a quick break from the interview to remind you to click the subscribe button and let us know who you'd like our pal Gravity to interview next. Whoa, heavy. Oh man, there's more to read here. Let's just get back to the interview.
So with Twitch, because you also have your regular streaming. How do you do you prefer that over YouTube? Because that's kind of like a separate industry conversation of like what Twitch is currently doing to people, what YouTube is trying to do. Like what do you prefer, and where do you think that you're going to be going?
That is an excellent question. I got my start on Twitch, so for the foreseeable future, I will very likely stay with Twitch unless they and I mean, they are consistently fucking up. Their little flip-flop with the sponsorships, like, you can't be sponsored, and your sponsorship logos need to be teeny tiny, and you can't play ad roles. Like, that was a major fuck-up, and they admitted that. But I just feel like something else is coming, and their compromise was a way for them to be like, look, we're the good guys. But anyway, I am not super good at YouTube. I don't know. I can like upload my VODs. I can edit my shit down, like take off the beginning, the middle, and the end. But one thing that I don't like about YouTube is that when you stream it, I don't know if there's a way to like edit after it's been streamed.
Yeah, but not well.
Yeah, and I already am not that great.
Yeah.
Already doing my editing, like I can bare bones it, and that's about it. So trying to also do that on YouTube feels like a stretch. I also feel, at least for me, like the majority of the network that I know streams on Twitch, watches Twitch live. And like I know that some people do YouTube lives, but like having the tab open up on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, the Twitch is always the higher watched.
Yeah.
Do I like the payout split better? Yes, I do like it better on YouTube.
Right.
Is that enough incentive for me? No, because I make nothing almost on Twitch.
Right.
So
yeah, the most you make is during your charity streams.
And that's not even going to me, but that is the point. So I'm not mad about it.
So with that, because we know which one you prefer now at this point, which is Twitch. But if someone is starting an actual play, how would you help them guide what platform to try and be on?
Ooh, well, first you got to figure out, are you doing a live actual play or are you doing a recording? Because a recording obviously is going to be better on YouTube, because on Twitch people expect the videos that they're watching to be live. And you have an option to like tick a box if it is a pre-recorded, but then people still want you in the chat to like talk to them while the action is happening. So my first advice would be to figure out if you're doing it live, then go to Twitch. If you're doing it recorded, go to YouTube. I guess technically you might also want to check in with like your viewership that's like going to be there at the beginning to
Right.
see what they might prefer. Um, but I would probably just lean with my first one, live Twitch, pre-recorded YouTube,
Yeah.
because we're not all Critical Role. Like,
I mean, yeah. Yeah, we're not. Because, yeah, to go back to the editing on YouTube, because over on Ampersand, we have our live streams, which are on Twitch and YouTube. We had a long conversation about, is this beneficial? What do we really want? And because viewership was even, we're like, we'll do both for a bit and just see what's going to happen. The editing on YouTube is very clunky. So if we do want to do it, we have to pull it and then put it back up, but then it switches it from live stream to a video. So then if you're already going to edit it, might as well just edit the whole thing. So like we have some streams that aren't up because we're editing them, because it really only lets you chop off the beginning and the end, and then if you try and get in the middle somewhere, it's not great.
yeah, I mean, you could just put like on YouTube, like skip the next 5 minutes or like something after the fact. Like I know you can have the little like markers on YouTube, like chapters or something, and that would be a workaround.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know a lot of times, like when I'm working, I have my second monitor and I'm either watching Digimon, Our Flag Means Death, or I have a stream up. And like sometimes I'm watching YouTube videos and like I don't fuck with anything over there because like that's not my main focus. Like I just want sound in the background essentially. So it might not bother some people, but it might bother some people. Very wishy-washy advice right there.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I think the thing I like about YouTube, and I think this is something that people are going to pick between the two, YouTube you can watch on your work computer a lot easier than Twitch. Like my work computer has a filter for Twitch specifically, so like nope, it blocks it. It's just like no, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the other things, and I talk about this a lot off mic, and you can let me know if you want this on or not, but one thing that I like when I liked playing, or one thing I liked when playing on your stream, and then there's also been some other times with other groups when playing, is including representation of non just like cishet white dudes. Like every NPC is I'm a guy in a tavern, I'm a guy at a blacksmith shop thing. How are you comfortable providing like how you try and incorporate that, but maybe not, because it didn't feel heavy-handed during any play? Like how do you incorporate that into tabletop?
Okay, so I guess for my streams, like it's not up to me,
right?
Because I'm not the DM, but I also am inviting people to DM on my streams that like are inclusive of all backgrounds. Otherwise, like we said earlier, like they wouldn't be on my stream. And so that's an on them thing. But again, I don't ask people to DM for me if I think that they're not going to give me a good time, if they're not going to like be inclusive and not use safety tools.
Right.
And that's like something that we talk about, like when I'm asking them, hey, do you want to be my DM for XYZ charity stream? And so I always start with the GM first, and pick a date with them, and then kind of work on players after that. And then for my games, or for not for my games, for like supplements that I've written in the past, I don't know, like I have the diverse friend group like that I have, and I'm very thankful for that. I come from a very small town in Indiana, and I'm so glad that I moved away and met different people from different backgrounds, and so that's just it's something that I want to see in my supplements and in my games and in the things that I'm involved with. So it's important for me to include that.
who has done it like really well, like that you've either had as a DM or maybe played with, who has been able to like incorporate maybe something that they aren't necessarily, but they're able to present it as like an NPC or the character that they're playing with respect.
I would say Daryl Six at Gaming for our Fangang podcast. He is a cis dude, but he has quite a handful of queer characters because a lot of our cast is queer.
Right.
And I mean, if he portrayed them in a negative light, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Come on.
Right.
Because Daryl and I are pals. And like he does it really well. And I mean, he is a BIPOC man, but he doesn't have just BIPOC characters. Like
Right.
he does everyone, and he's really fucking good at it.
Yeah.
And he's also really good at voices, and like taking like constructive feedback on if he were to like misrepresent an identity that falls outside of his own, like hey, you might want to reconsider this. Like he's okay with that because he's not an asshole,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yeah, I just bring it up because I know, not currently, but it has been in the past, the point of like, okay, we want to have a more inclusive table, but we're not, or a podcast or so on. Like, you know, it's 4 or 5 guys sitting at a table. They're like, we want to do it, but we don't know how, and we're afraid that if we try, we'll be canceled. But I think what you said about like Daryl too, of like taking that criticism and listening and using it to go forward. I'd also throw in probably the homework that's been done beforehand.
Absolutely. And I mean, for like 5 white guys sitting at a table, like, have you considered splitting in half? And
Yeah.
maybe having more like BIPOC folks, more femme folks come
Right.
to your
Yeah.
table. Like I tell people when I get invited to games, like the first thing I want to know is like, obviously, like when's the date?
Yeah.
What game are we playing? But I tell folks, like, even if they don't know who the cast is going to be, like, I don't play at all white tables.
Yeah.
I don't. It does not make me feel good. It does not make people watching it feel good.
Yeah.
Like, representation matters.
Yeah.
And like even just having like one BIPOC person there is not good enough.
Right.
So invite diverse people to your tables and like sit this one out if you have to.
Yeah.
Like it's not bad. I mean, it sucks like not being at the table that you wanted to be at, but
Yeah.
like you have the option to sit it out if you want to. So
Yeah, I definitely think, and it's okay if this isn't the right summary, but like making space for people, and it's okay to step back, it sounds like, where not all 5 of you have to talk. Just like you said, split the table in half, maybe 2. I don't know how they're going to get a half person in there from the original 5. But at least 2.
yes. I know that we're all the center of our own universes, but that does not mean that you need to be the center of every situation.
Right.
And it is sometimes difficult to recognize that, but like needs to be recognized.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that that's something that my group struggles with. Although I'm like, come on, we can be doing better. We can invite various groups of people, and that's why I'm like so excited with everyone who's said yes to doing interviews has said yes. I'm like, yes, yay! The cast of characters and everyone I want to be shown at the front is doing it. Because I would be sad if every guy was Gary Gygax's clone. Yeah, that look. Yeah. I'm just like, there's a reason I don't go to the local game store, and that's the reason. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was also curious what made you comfortable saying like okay to like this interview or including me in your streams? Because like I had I think replied to a few things before you had invited me, but I was also like, yeah, they're a cool person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for my stream specifically, I feel like I feel like we've been mutuals for a while, and
Yeah.
like that's a big thing. Like I don't love being mutuals with people that I don't like. And like obviously everybody's start to Twitter was a little different. The follow for follow thing.
Yeah.
I've gone back and I've clipped my like people that I follow like down significantly, like seeing people that I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that is something that you have decided to make an outside word. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So being mutuals, responding and just like saying that you'd be interested. Hi, kitten. All right, hot dog is coming up to join us. She says hello. She's needy. Shoot. Sorry. Hot dog brain. So you'd responded to just the inquiry because I honestly didn't know if people were going to be interested.
Right.
In wanting to play in one shots with me on my channel. And then, I mean, before I ask people if they want to be on, like, I check the vibe of their profile. If I can, I like try to see, I mean, if they have experience of them in APs,
Right.
if they've listed it on their, in their Twitter bio, it's very helpful for me to go and just like check through a couple of them because I don't want someone that takes up like and hogs the spotlight and like won't let other people shine.
Right.
And so I like try to go and see if the vibe will match. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But like I want to make sure that everyone is going to vibe. I want to make sure that there's a diverse cast, that we're all going to like kind of be in the same tone. Because I've had streams in the past where I've learned from where we weren't all going to go for the same tone. Like I tell people that I can match the vibe of like serious or goofy.
Unless puns
and you seemed
come out.
Yes, absolutely. And like you seemed like you were down to have a good time. And you were. Like the mustache bride's very funny. Your character was goofy. I loved that you brought out a mustache. And it was a good time. And then I don't necessarily like accept interview requests from people that I've like never really chatted with.
Right.
Like if someone like has asked me and then like we chat a little bit beforehand, like I don't want the first time we're talking to be like
right. Like, oh, let me ask you questions.
Yeah, like I would like to like at least semi know your vibe before I like spill my beans to you,
Yeah, because Franks and beans, they go together. So if you want the meat, you gotta at least do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing that I haven't talked a lot with other people about, but like curating your socials almost to be like, who is it that you really want to be is also the same people that you're going to attract, which is what I like about your like just sometimes going to your Twitter and seeing the people communicating like, oh, that's a nice, I like that space, versus other people where it's like that, like you said, should be an inside voice or word.
Yep. And again, that's why we have that block, mute, and report button.
Yeah. Which, how much time, because you do have a lot of different avenues that you have on your Twitter, how and this kind of goes back to the like kind of the self-policing, but how long did it take you to create that kind of vibe or genre on your socials?
That's a good question. I mean, like, I've evolved as a person since I, like, joined D&D Twitter, which was, like, at the end of 2019. But I just kind of, like, put the me. Like, what you see is me. And that's, like, the same for my Twitch. And, like, that's the same for just kind of all of my online stuff. Like, I don't have more time to pretend to be another person than I do in my TTRPG games. Like, I don't do a persona or anything, and I'm not saying that like having an online persona is a bad thing, because that works for some people. That's not me. Like that doesn't work for me. So like finding a good balance of being like haha, hot dogs and horny. Like that took time. But I don't know. It just you kind of evolve with a person, and as you evolve, like your brand evolves or whatever. So,
what was possibly when you were starting charity streams and streaming? What was some really good advice that you may have gotten, and what is something that maybe didn't work for you when you started?
Ooh, don't sweat it. Like, I used to take an hour for at least for my personal streams. I used to take an hour to get set up, and like James, I was literally just like plugging in my Elgato
Mm-hmm.
to like the computer and like making sure that like at the time I used slobs and now I slob sucks and OBS is the best even though it kind of sucks, but at least they didn't like steal the homework and
Yeah.
change it slightly. But like now I literally will like be brushing my teeth, hit start, and then I'm like, all right, we're live. Like that's that.
Yeah.
So like I used to get just like really nervous about going online if like people were gonna show up or like if they were gonna have a good time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm playing a video game, and if people also want to be there and talk to me, that's it.
Yeah.
Like I'm having a good time. I can play my silly little musics. I can make silly little things happen on my stream deck for the stream, and that's that. Like I'm not gonna be a Twitch partner, and that's okay.
Right.
Like this is just a hobby of mine that I sometimes get paid for in very small amounts of money.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, like you don't have to have like the most expensive streaming equipment to like start streaming. Like I've started streaming on my work laptop.
Yeah.
Like I bought a shitty little Logitech camera. I bought a Blue Yeti mic that I still use that picks up every sound in my apartment. Yeah. And like that's it. Like if you're not making this your full-time job and like if you're not getting paid like this is your full-time job, it doesn't have to be top quality, looking. And that's okay. Like people are there to see, at least in my opinion, people are there for the streamer, not necessarily the full experience.
Right.
It's like I watch Tulak the Barbarian and like I don't like Elden Ring. This is not a game that I enjoy, but that was in one of my top watched things last year. And Twitch is always like, what if you also watched these Elden Ring people? And I'm like, no, I am here for Phil, and that is it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just don't sweat the small things, and also don't get into debt to like make your stream setup extravagant.
Yeah, I mean, mine has evolved slowly over time, but it's because it's other things I wanted to do. Like my current mic, I love music, so it's great for if I do something acoustic. And I just wanted something better than the other Yeti mic I have.
Felt.
That, again, like you said, captures everything in the room, which is it's a great start. You just learn to put the gain down and get a lot closer to the mic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you realize that USB cables are not the best, as you probably are using a USB cable.
Mm-hmm.
They're fine if you also have a good USB port, so like a decent computer. Because I was running it out of my laptop for a while, and no, it overheats really quick.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you center yourself? Because it's easy to slip into. I know it's something I work on. Of the next one always has to be better. Produce, consume. Like, how do you center yourself from, or do you not even have that voice in your head?
Yeah, I don't really have that voice in my head. It is cool though to like go back and look at I have very few clips because it was bad. Like my first like personal streams to like what they look like now. Like it is night and day difference. And like the promo graphics that I used to make and like the stream layouts, like it's gotten a lot better. But like what I put out is what I put out, like I'm raising money for charity. I am having a fun time with some either old pals or new pals, and like people are watching and enjoying and donating. So for me, like it would be super cool to like make a career out of this one day. But it's right now it's not happening, and that's okay. Like I'm having a good time now, and I'm living in the moment now, and that's good enough. So, I guess the answer to your question is I don't do that.
That is good. Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
Like obviously I want to push myself, and like I have a goal to like raise $5,000 with TTRPG charity streams this year, but and that would be more than last year, but like
hmm
it's not like I'm going to beat myself up if I raise $4,999. At that point I would just donate another dollar to make it around 5K.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I don't not everything has to be bigger, better. It just it needs to be good people doing good things.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely something I've heard from a lot of people is being like, do what you love doing and be authentic, and then all the other little bits you'll get better at, and it
Yeah,
won't be work. It'll just be you're just getting better at it because it's quicker.
exactly.
You can edit faster, whatnot, all that fun stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Because nobody's going to be perfect at everything the first time they come around. But a lot of people aren't going to nick you on that.
hmm
Like, unless you're like asking for sponsorships, like, yes, like it needs to be a
Yeah.
little bit more professional. Like, if you're getting sponsorships for things, but this is a part-time thing. Like this isn't even a part-time thing. This is a free time thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you're using your time to make a free thing for other people to watch.
mhm.
Yeah.
People people need to remember that Twitch is free.
Yeah.
If you don't pay for like you don't have to pay for subs, but unfortunately you do have to pay for with your time by watching ads, and
Yeah.
sometimes that is inevitable unless you like get the turbo or pay the sub price. Please, for the love of God, don't tell someone, "Oh, I had to watch an ad and it was awful."
Yeah, that's a Twitch issue, not a streamer issue. And
Yes.
again, it's a what was it? It was a Stephen King movie recently, but it was from one of his books. There's an older guy who is like he's homebound. He pays a kid to come in and like read books and have conversations with him, and the kid gets him a phone. And the kid's showing him like, oh, you can read the news, you can do all the stock things. And after the older guy had it for a week, he's like, eventually they're gonna start charging for this, right? Like they don't just give away anything for free. This is the same business model as a drug dealer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, nothing is free, unfortunately.
I mean, that was Hulu. They literally had ads at the beginning saying that it was all a scam
yeah.
to get your time.
Damn. Things change.
Yeah. I I think we can do one more question, and you might have to think about it.
Okay.
Who are the top 4 people you would want on your charity stream? Like, if you could ask anybody, preferably alive, dead requires some necromancy, but
Okay. I think it'd be really cool to play. Oh, okay. I'm gonna look this up. I'm going to. I don't want to fuck up anyone's names. Okay. I think it would be really fun to play with B. Dave Walters. Also Grant O'Brien. Now I'm gonna put some people that aren't necessarily in TTRPGs, I think. Um, uh, Fuck, I don't know. Okay. Trigger warning, sad. I would have loved the opportunity to play with my dad.
oh yeah.
I was not into TTRPGs when he was still with us. And it was like a couple years after he passed is when I got into them, and I was like, D&D.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem fun. And now I'm like, damn, that would be so much fun because he was hilarious and he was just really good at bullshitting all of the time. I think that's where I get my bullshitting from. Another person. One of my first crushes was Jessica Alba, and I don't think that
Yeah.
she would play TTRPGs, but she's a hottie, and we're just gonna buzz it in.
That works. Yeah, that was
My
4.
dad, Grant O'Brien, and Jessica
Yeah.
Alba, and we're just gonna go with that because there are so many people that I want to play with. There are people that I've already gotten the opportunity to play with that are like really, really cool in the space, and like people that I've been able to host but like haven't actually gotten to play with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Fingers crossed. More to come.
Yeah.
More to come for sure.
Do you have any other projects that you're working on, or irons in the fire, skillets on the grill,
Yeah.
hot dogs on the barbecue?
Oh no. So let's see. At the end of the month, we are going to be playtesting Uncaging Nicholas on excuse me, on my stream, and it's like that is the playtest. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm planning to. Oh my god! This is water. This is water.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And so, about 2 weeks later, I'm planning on releasing it as a one-page TTRPG. Then I have a couple other games that I'm planning on. One, the name is like in progress, but basically you're like asked to babysit a witch's house for the weekend, and you have to like travel with it with your or travel to it with your little like forest friends, so you can play as like a beaver or a rabbit or a bird or something. And once you get there, then like something silly happens, and
Right.
like that's just the game. Like it's y'all being silly with your friends. And I'm also working on a social deduction game called Secret Judas, where you and 12 of your closest friends get together, and one of you is Jesus and one of you is Judas, and you all share secrets, and Judas outs you, and once Jesus gets outed, they like can't participate for the next 3 days, and then they come back in. And then they have the opportunity to out Judas, and like then the game is over, or they can like let free will reign and like not tell anybody, hey, this is the person that's Judas. So like working out kinks and stuff, but I'm really excited, and a lot of my ideas stem from like me just sitting down and eating food. So I'm gonna keep on doing that and keep on pumping out silly games.
So you were at a table with your disciples and you decided to make a game about it.
Actually, I was at a kebab shop with my partner, but I was like, this sounds like fun.
Yeah.
This sounds like so much fun. And then when he got back from the bathroom, I was like, babe, guess what? And he was like, I'm with you. This is fun.
Oh, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a really nice day. I want to go chill under the sun and drink my beverage of choice. Now, remember, leave a comment and good Yelp review so that Gravity knows how well I helped hosting today. Huh. Alright, well that was Sandbox and Chill. And as always, be kind and roll well. I'm gonna go chill now.